Hey guys, and welcome to the F1CRL Season 3 recap. We are here today to be touching base on what happened over the season. I tried to get into depth with as many drivers as I could, especially if they did 3 or more races. We didn't really have time to touch on F2. We will try to do something separate for them before the season starts, so don't worry guys, I know you're around. But to the first point, we have Hal, Jeff, J-Rack, and Ghost doing interviews on this podcast semi kind of style. So hopefully we can end up doing this once a week to kind of recap the races. Like video clips are a lot of fun. It's just they're hard to keep up with, especially with how much happens in a race. So we'll try to recap it a little bit differently and see how it goes. But I do apologize for the capture as well. That's another thing that we got to get sorted out. But this is a first experience, and I really hope that everyone enjoys. And yeah, I look forward to some feedback as well. So sit back, enjoy, and here we go with the F1CRL recap. Looking at the standings from the season 3. So, of course, we all know Hal taking it home with 169 points. Take a quick little deep dive into Hal from the season. There he is. Looking at it, he's got 12 races with 3 wins, 7 podiums, 2 of the fastest laps, 3 poles, 169 points as said, almost finishing 60% on the podium. And of course carrying 14.1 points per race. So absolute consistency from Hal this year. Big step up from last year's numbers. So would love to see him in contention for most improved for sure. Moving on, we got Ghost driving for Haas. He's looking like he put 12 races in this year. He's got 1 win with 7 podiums, 2 poles, and 152 points. And finishing at the same consistency of podium as Hal, but falling short on the points at 12.7. So still a big step up from the years prior. So congrats to Ghost, getting 152 points this year. Next up, we got Ghost joining us in the hot seat. All right, so we're here for our first F1CRL sit down with none other than Ghost. How are you, Ghost?
Pretty good. A little late my time, but always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Awesome, man. Well, it's a pleasure having you here. So, just a couple quick shot questions for you for the recap. First being, what do you think was the biggest contributor to your successful season at Williams? Or at Haas?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Honestly, I think what set me and Incident apart on the track was the time we put in prior to the races. When I was looking for a teammate this season, big thing for me was someone that was going to make me better, which I think Incident did. I knew that he liked to spend time practicing, really putting the hours in on the track to make sure that we could get the setups dialed in. And it really helped to be able to follow him around in practice, see his lines, see his breaking points, and really learned a lot from him. So I really think it was the time we put in or on the track, but before the races that set us apart.
Oh, fair enough, and I'm sure he felt the same way about you. You guys are a good team and you work well together, so that's awesome to hear. And what are your expectations for next season?
It's a tough question to answer. Obviously, you want to be optimistic going into it, and I think we are still an extremely strong team. But there's a couple teams that I think are really going to give us a run for our money. J-Rat continues to be one of the fastest drivers in the league, and he's picked up a teammate in 11 that's put together what three podiums in a race win in 3 races. I mean, that kind of consistency is just unheard of. So I think they've got to be the front runner right now going into it. Obviously, Hal and Jeff over at, oh God, where did they go? Mercedes now is going to be a challenging team. And I really think you guys in the McLarens are going to be a tough competition too. So going into it, I like our chances. I think we're going to fight for the title. But honestly, with the quality of opposition this year, I think anywhere from first to fifth could happen without us really faltering. I think there's just that much competition this season.
Yeah, it's an open field out there. I think that a lot of people are either going to surprise us or it will just be a powerhouse. So we're going to see one of the two. And speaking of, who shocked you the most for next year?
In terms of like who went where, that was most shocking,
Yeah,
or
yeah, exactly.
that's a tough one. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up the current driver list. I'm trying to think who was. I mean, I guess the big one for me was J-Rack. Early on, I'd heard from him that it sounded like he was going to go with, the free agent approach and see where he ended up. But then last minute made a decision that him and 11D were going to team up, which I didn't expect. And frankly, the thought of J-Rack having a teammate that might be as quick as him is terrifying. Um, Elsewhere, I think the other big one was Jurdy announcing that he's going to be a full time driver instead of a reserve this season. He won 2 races in what 4 appearances, I think, this last season. So him coming out and teaming up with Chris Q, who's I think been impressive at times this season. I think it was his podium in Spa was really impressive. He managed his tires extremely well and had good pace while managing. I think they could be a dangerous team, and they were a bit of a shock signing for me.
Hey, awesome. Well, great answer, man. And our last question of the segment will be: what was your favorite moment from the season?
Oh, it's got to be Portugal for me. I mean, if you told me when I joined this league, oh God, back in the tail end of season one when I was fighting to even be close to the top 10, if you told me that I would ever win a race in this league with some of the talented guys that are out here, I would have told you were crazy. So to go from pole to basically hold the lead the entire race and come out P1. I mean, great moment for me personally, but honestly for the team as well. It was the first time, Incident locked out the front grid with me. He finished P2, and I think by 5 seconds. I think we had a 5 second lead on the field. That was just kind of the quintessential. We put time in on a challenging track. I think that track suited me well with the no traction control. I think it was easier for me to dig out of corners than anyone else. But yeah, I think it was a great day for both me individually and for the team to get the first ever 1-2 in the league.
Hey, awesome, man. Yeah, that was an exceptional drive by you guys. As of many of the season, that one definitely would stand out. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I really thank you for your time and thanks for coming by the paddock today.
Anytime.
Now, the man of speed himself, J Rack. He's looking like an absolute terror. Like his season one stats are crazy. So looking at season three though, he had 10 races with 3 wins, 6 podiums, one of the fastest laps, 6 poles with 148 points. So he is finishing at 60% on the podium and 14.8 points per race. So with a couple more races under his belt, you never know. He could have been right there for sure. Hey guys, so we're back with another interview. We are going to be talking with none other than J-Rax, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. I think it's a fun one. Awesome. So, welcome to the next interview with the F1CRL recap for season 3. We're sitting down with J-Rax today. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you very much.
Hey, great to hear, man. Well, thanks for coming in today. Got a couple quick questions for you.
Zero.
Hey, awesome. So my first question is 11D. What are expectations? What came to bring you guys together?
Well, hey, expectations are pretty high based on the 3 races or so I think he was in. He podiumed in all 3 races. We came, or actually, except for Saudi Arabia, obviously, that kid. Did he win? I think he won. Or he
Yeah,
came. Yes,
I
he
think
did win
so.
in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
So expectations are going to be pretty high. I lost my teammate for this season. Maple Bro, unfortunately, couldn't be a full-time driver this season. So I was looking for someone else. Everyone in the pretty high in the true skill looked like they had a partner, so I was decided to take a chance on a new guy. New guy looked like he impressed me, so here we are. Hopefully, we'll have a solid team for next season.
absolutely. Well, Ferrari is definitely up there for my favorites for next year. I'll definitely tell you that off the beat. And that kind of segues into our next question. What was the biggest decision in taking Ferrari?
Uh, so there were obviously two main factors to this.
Yeah,
One, it was, shake things up. Yeah, I've lived with McLaren for the past 2 seasons. I decided might as well try something new.
yeah,
Also, I like Ferrari very much. They're one of my favorite teams up there. I also really like the red on the car.
Yeah,
And
for
there
sure.
may have been another little bit of a small factor in there, which was to, uh, shake things up not only for myself, but for the league as well. You know what I mean?
I'd say that you did a good job in that accord, shaking up.
I think so. I think so.
No, that's awesome, man. And yeah, it's also got that sick Ray Ban on it, and like I do like their decals. The car looks great. So yeah, don't blame me one bit. So yeah, and after tying for most podiums this season, what are you kind of looking to accomplish for next season?
Oh, I hadn't even noticed I tied for most podiums. Well, hey, good for myself. um,
At least
I'm
I think.
look.
I'm not looking at the piece of paper, but I think. I think.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take your word for it. Expectations are going to be pretty high. Obviously, if I can make all the races, this season, if I had been able to make all the race, I may have been able to give Ghost and Hal a little bit more of a run for their money. But this season, it's all going to be about consistency. As we saw in season two, had very highs and very lows in that season.
Yeah.
So that one was a little bit rough. Season three was more consistent. I well, except for maybe Jeddah and Spa, where I was booted out of the lobby, I rate raced pretty consistently, so that's going to be the name of the game for next season. Just try and get those consistent points. Hopefully, those podiums will come. And you know what? If I can keep getting pole and qualifying, I'll try and keep those and turn those into wins.
Hey, my guy, and yeah, like you're always one of the quickest guys on the track. Your pace is great, so it's gonna be awesome to see what you guys do next year with so much speed in the front of the pack. So
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see the both of us up there.
I agree. And for our last question, I just wanted to ask: was there a team that came together that shocked you, or is there any team that we should look out for next season?
Well, originally, the team I was definitely gonna have to look out for was Big Rat Guy and the new guy, 562 King, I think it was.
Yeah,
Um, but you know what? That unfortunately fell through. But I think once again that the Haas's are going to be very hard to beat. They have two extremely consistent drivers in Ghost and Incident. I think they're going to be very hard to beat. Even, you know what, McLaren. As you've seen with yourself, you won Spain. Uh, Maybe not the most consistent of guys, but hey,
yeah,
you've pulled stuff out of the bag right there. It's
yeah.
also going to be interesting to see what happens with PCC over there. So I think you guys are also going to be a pretty solid pairing.
Yeah, Godley's a consistent beast, so I'm real excited to be under his wing. So it should be good.
Plus, you guys stole my McLaren, so gotta have a little bit of a
Oh,
revenge
well,
right there.
yeah, that was very nice, and that was one of the biggest things that shot me when you took Ferrari. I was like, "Oh my God, who's gonna take McLaren?" Like, so yeah, no, man, that's great. Well, hey, that's about all the time we're gonna have for this segment, though. But I do appreciate you coming out and answering some questions for us.
Well, hey, my pleasure, and I look forward for more battles this season.
Awesome, man. Well, appreciate it.
So right there in the top three, they're very close. Incident being our next up in fourth, the other member for Haas, who did bring home the Constructors' Championship. So congratulations to them as well. He's looking like he brought in 10 races this season with 5 podiums and it looked like 1 pole, 118 points, finishing at 50% podium consistency at 11.8 points per race. So Haas was extremely consistent this year and they did well with what they had. KB, why not? Let's have a quick look. Because he did have 76 points and he only had 7 races as a reserve. So it's looking like he brought in 76 points and 1 win, 2 podiums. So he was on fire to start. Uh, yeah, it's unfortunate. Moving along, we got Jerdy. Jerdy will be joining us next season full time, I believe. He was an absolute firecracker this year, though. Coming in with 2 wins, 2 podiums, 64 points, 50% podium percentage at 16 points per race. So he might even take the cake, kind of in that realm of things. And also, we got Big Rye next in the Ferrari, put down 60 points. He, I don't think, had as many races. Yeah, so once again with consistency, 9 races a year. He did not get a win this year. 1 podium, 60 points. Not a very good podium percentage at 6.7 points per race, so a big fall off from where he had been before. We'll go over that kind of later. He was the Season 2 Drivers' Champion, though, I believe. Moving along, we got 11D, another guy that'll be joining us next season. He will be J-Rock's teammate, which is extremely scary. Both guys built for speed. 11D getting 3 races this season with 1 win, 3 podiums, 58 points. He has he's hitting the podium 100% of the time at 19.3 points per race. Even 3 races in, that's quite impressive to get up there almost every single time. Next up in the driver's standings, we got Jeff Williams having a great year as well. And we'll kind of go over what's going on for them for next year as well. So Jeff got all 12 races in. He finished with 1 fastest lap and 48 points. He's looking like really good in the points consistency. He had 4 points per race on average. So definitely helping out Williams.
Hey guys, so without further ado, we're going to be bringing in Jeff into the hot seat. So stay right there. The interview comes up next. We're here for another hot seat with the F1CRL recap, and we're joined by none other than Jeff. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. So thanks for coming out today.
Of course.
We got a few questions for you. So the first one I got for you is, what was your favorite moment from the season?
Well, selfishly, I think it was seeing Hal do really well, just as his teammate. I think, we didn't win the Constructors' Championship, but it was cool to have a teammate who was a risk to win every single race. And it was a lot of fun, and, he was an inspiration to watch drive and all that. So personally, I think it had to be that.
Awesome.
As like a commissioner, I think it was probably seeing some of these guys who have been in the league for a while just really consistently deliver. I think Juzzy had a really good season. Moose had a really good season. It was just nice to see those guys do well.
Yeah, it's awesome when they start to show up, and everyone was really consistent with finishing races this season, I thought, too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was good to see. And
Mm-hmm.
same for Hal. He had absolute pace, and you were right there with him, man. You guys almost had the constructors, too. So keep it up
Well, that's
next
kind of
season.
you to say, but I think I need to. I think I need to take a step up if I really want to deliver on the same level. I would say.
Well, for sure, but you'll grow. And that actually leads into the next question. Why the Mercedes and not the Williams?
So I think we talked about it, and basically I think we're both of the opinion that it's fun to sort of bounce around a little bit and try some different cars, or not necessarily try because they're equal performance, but see the scenarios from different cars, I guess. We were both fans of the Mercedes engine sound, so I think that we pretty much limited ourselves to Mercedes cars for this choice. We pretty much had our pick since when we chose Ferrari was gone and the Haas was gone, but we had all the Mercedes options, so we looked at them and just decided to go with Mercedes. Who knows, if we team up next season, you may see us in a completely different car.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome, though. And I will agree, the Mercedes sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably one of the best sounding, in my opinion. That's for
I
sure.
agree.
And what team shocked you the most for pairings in cars next season?
That's a good question. I think I was. I think that pairing wise, I won't say that anything has jumped out at me as being completely crazy or off the wall. I mean, you sort of look at him and you're like, okay, well, yeah, that probably makes sense. I see it. I will say, I was very surprised by J-Rack and 11T picking Ferrari. I did not see that one coming, and that's not just because of the fallout with Big Rye guy leaving after that happened, but I just never had the inclination that they were going to do it, and then they did it, and then you saw how that worked out.
Well, fair enough. And I wasn't expecting it to go that way either. I was quite shocked by the pick, but I didn't expect that to come of it.
Yeah, I certainly didn't either. But I do think, not necessarily surprising, but I think there were some really interesting pairings throughout. I mean, Obviously, I thought Big Rye and 562 King was a really interesting pairing. Obviously, we're not going to see any of that, but I think that 11T and J Rack, Incident and Ghost, PCC Godly and you actually, I think could be a really interesting pairing because you obviously won a race last year.
Yep.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Hey, thanks, man.
He's shown a lot of pace in the races I've seen him. So I, I think there are a couple pairings that could really compete, and I think we could see a lot tighter constructor championship this year than we did last year.
Yeah, the top ten's looking a lot thicker. That's for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
And yeah, no, that's great to hear, man. And what inspiration, or not even inspiration, what advice can you give the new drivers coming into the league?
I would say just try to drive clean and consistently because that has been the thing that has helped me the most is remembering and recognizing that even if you even if you maybe don't have the greatest entry into a corner or the exit from a corner, it's a lot better to just back off a little bit and recover than it is to try to push a little bit more and spin out and ruin your race. I think that if you can just try to be, don't get me wrong, pace obviously is super important, but you're going to be a lot better off just being consistent and a little bit slower than you are being the fastest guy in the league, but you spin every 3 laps.
Yeah, well, and that's fair. Fair enough. Awesome, man. Well, that's all the questions I got for you today. Is there anything else you'd like to put out there?
I mean, I hope everybody knows that I appreciate them because even if more drivers means more stewarding, but also it's fun to have full grids and have full races and see people involved, and it's fun to see people doing stuff like what you're doing right now. It's fun to see um, Ghost and Juzzy and Skyland, I think, and all those guys getting involved in the weekly magazine. It's fun to see you doing recap videos. It's fun to just it kind of makes it feel more real when people get involved with it and show a big interest in it. So I'm ecstatic to see people really investing in it. So that's what I would say. Just thank you to everybody and and to you. Thanks for doing this.
Anytime, man. Well, and thank you for putting this all together because we wouldn't be here without you. So we appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming in today, and that's going to do it for this interview.
All right, perfect, sir. I think we're about to run some Monaco 3-lappers if you have any interest and aren't busy editing this.
No, I'll definitely come. Let's get it.
Moving along, we got number 10, which is going to be Kenny Hitman Hart. We're not going to spend too much time here. So he finished up with one win, one podium, one fastest lap, 45 points. Podium consistency very low, points consistency very low, 4.1 points per race. So still mild improvement off of last season, I still feel. So it is what it is. We got Alex up next. It's looking like in the Ferrari he had 12 races with two fastest laps, 33 points. He was in the points consistency of almost 60%, and looking like 2.8 race points per race. Geez, what happened to me there? Moving along. So we got Moose finishing up with 30 points there. He was on fire for a while. I don't remember how long his point streak ran, but it was pretty good. He had 12 races, so was in every single one with 30 points. And he was, 750 points percentage, which is great. So he's just consistent. Finish percentage is 100, so he finished every race, so good for him. That's good standings. Of course, we got Chris up next in the Aston Martin. He had 27 points. He ended up on the podium once with 27 points, 1.43 podium with a 4.29 points percentage. Pretty good finishing percentage as well with 3.9 points per race. And we're going to try to, well, Godley will be coming in next season as well. And we're going to go over teams after, so I'm not going to spoil anything yet, just in case anybody hasn't seen anything yet. I don't know. But either way, he had 2 races this year, and he was 24 points at 12 points per race. He was 100% in the points and 100% finishing. So consistent guy. I used to watch him in another league. He's got really good pace, so it should be exciting to see him next season. Boys for Jesus finishing up with 50. Or sorry, did I say 15? 22 points for Aston Martin, and it's looking like he had 8 races, 1 podium, 0.125 for the podium and 375 for points. So he'll be looking for more consistency next season for sure. He's got a lot of pace when I see him around me. So Maple Bro and the McLaren looking like he picked up 8 races, 1 fastest lap and 20 points. He had 0.25 in the points percentage with 2.5 points per race. So he wants to see a bit of improvement there, especially considered his season 2 numbers are in the 4s. So we'll see how he can do next season. Fonzie will be coming back as well. I can't remember how many races he ended up doing, but once again, a guy with a lot of pace. So it's looking like in his 3 races, he had 20 points at 6.7. And as you can see, seasons prior, he was pretty consistent as well. So he'll be looking to make some noise next season. Next up, we got Rush Puppy coming in the Alpine later in the season. He ended up with 8 races, though. And it's looking like he scooped up 18 points with a .375 in the points percentage. And he finished 75% of the time with 2.3 points per race, which was an improvement on his reserves. So I'm sure he'll be looking to build on that. And we're going to be moving down to number 19, Mr. Bode himself. Bode. Getting it done. He had 11 races this year, 60 points. He was in the points almost 50% of the time, so big improvement from the season prior. Same with his finish percentage. So looks like there's nothing but looking up for him next year. And we're not going to touch too much on the reserves though. Juicy, once again, I think he had to miss a little bit, but he ended up with 8 races, so he almost did the whole circuit. So what am I talking about? So points percentage fell off compared to the last year, not by much, but he is looking a little bit less on the finish side of things. So we'll see if he can bring it home next year with his teammate Moose. That's no surprise there. Kung Fu Panda driving the Alpine. See how he did this year. So he ended up with 14 points in 11 races. He was a little bit more consistent in the points percentage and finish percentage. So it's just his points weren't as high as they were the year prior. So we'll see what he does about that in next season. All right, so that kind of breaks it down for our top 20 drivers anyways. My teammate Deck was having a lot of trouble this season, but I know he'll bounce back next year. He's got a lot of pace in those wheels. And this is the look at the constructor standings from the season. As you can see, Haas just absolutely bringing it home at 270. Running up there is Williams at 217, with Howell winning the Drivers' Championship. So once again, congratulations to him. McLaren at 168, Mercedes 112. We got Ferrari at 93, Aston Martin 49, Alfa Romeo 45, AlphaTauri 45. So a little tie for 7th there. And then Alpine looking at 32, and Red Bull looking at 7 points for 10th place. So as you can see, this is where things kind of took off for us. So Jordy did take the first race in Australia. I don't know why I did that. I forgot my mouse at work, so this has been difficult. So we're looking at the point standings for this race. So as you can see, we got Jurdy taking the pole for the AlphaTauri Reserve, and it's looking like Big Rye came up second in the points there at 18. Ghost finishing at fifth or third, Incident at fourth, and Kenny at fifth. So that rounds up our top 5 there. So as you can see, Haas already picking up big points on this. If I remember correctly, yeah, I think that was the one where Hal went through, like, was a ghost or something. But I don't even know if that implemented anything. Um, but either way, it was a good race for everybody. Everybody kind of got in the points. That's kind of in the run there, except for the Williams. So they definitely were looking to bounce back the next race. So next race, we were at Russia. Russia, well, we all know what happened at Russia.
Live and reporting from tonight's
Jesus
race,
Christ.
we have live radio from AlphaTauri
I'm gonna
when
get
they got
DNF.
stuck in the pit lane.
I'm stuck in the fucking pit lane, bro. My tires were hot. Oh, this is crazy. I'm trying not to be stopped, you motherfucker. I'm stuck in the pit lane and I'm not a ghost anymore. Now I'm really fucking scared.
This has been Kenny Hitman Hart, signing off for breaking news.
Consistent from that point. As you can see, Howell ended up winning Russia, and then he won Mexico City. So huge boost for Williams, where Jeff did get points in both races, I believe. Next up, we had Brazil, where J-Rock took it home. Blow for blow from the beginning. J-Rock was almost on the podium every time for the beginning races. Spa, KB took it home. Big win for them. That was really good. And then we got Ghost taking home Portugal, which was a huge one. Montreal saw Jurdy taking home his second win of the season. Hal bringing home his third win of the season in Amola. And then Kenny Hitman Hart with the surprise win in China. And 11D coming in and taking over Jeddah. And the last 2 races of the season actually went to J-Rack. So, for as consistent as Williams and both Haas were, let's not sleep on McLaren. They had an absolute wonderful season, and it was tight until the end. I believe it was Bahrain where the separation came between the packs. So let's have a quick look at that. So in the second last race of the season, it looks like, oh, Bode. Or wait, I messed that up. So J-Rack took that home as we saw, but Hal coming in second. So they still held out in the points there. Ghost is up there as well, but it wasn't enough. They just fell short. If this was a different result, we would have a different standing, probably in the driver's standings. So congratulations to Hal for sticking it out. And then, of course, our last race at Italy, Monza. Yeah, I think everyone had a good time at this one. Of course, the chicane did creep up on us and get us, but J-Rock and 11D finishing 1-2. So they are going to be teammates next season. They did choose the Ferrari. So this will be kind of the next segment. We're going to go over what kind of the team standings are for next season. But to cap up here, we had Williams winning the Drivers' Championship with Howell holding it down, and then we had Haas taking it home for the Constructor Championship. So it was a fun season 3, tight to the wire. I've only been here since last season, so it was kind of cool to see how close everything got in comparisons. So I look forward to close driving once again and just growing with you guys. So yeah, let's get to the next segment. So we're going to touch base on our number 1 seats. Of course, 11D actually taking home the top spot, but teaming up with J-Rock. So Ferrari is going to be an absolute beast next year. So it's really exciting to see the 1-2 combo. So we'll see what happens there. Incident and Ghost teaming up once again.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Getting back into the seat with Haas. So it looks like I think they're going to be the only returning team. Well, not like returning team, but like they're going to be Haas. As you can see, the 562 King is going to be teaming up with Muddock in the Alpine. KB is a reserve driver now. So we're going to be looking at Hal. Hal, once again, teaming up with Jeff, but they're upgrading. They're hopping into the Silver Arrow. They will be with Mercedes next year.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
And, oh, it looks like Fonzie's actually reserved for next season, so I take back those words. It's looking like Godley picked up Kenny Hitman Hart, and they're going to be rocking the McLarens. We got Izzy Boy. He's going to be teaming up with Arab Kid in the Aston Martin. We got Chris KYU, 62, teaming up with Jerdy in the AlphaTauri. Much respect, boys. Love the AlphaTauri. And Jeff, as we said, he is going to be with Hal in the Mercedes. So that tops out the first teams anyways. It's looking like Alex chose to team up with Bode in F1 in the Williams.
I am the way your son don't need.
So that's cool to see. Jerdy, Chris KY, as we know. Moose is going to be teaming up with Juicy for sure. And they have not picked their vehicle yet, so we'll see what happens there. Kung Fu Panda teaming up with Call Me Maybe. And we got, except they haven't determined whether they're F1 or designated or not, so that's, we're still waiting to see there. So as you can see, we do have some teams coming down the pipeline, so it should be pretty interesting next year. I think the teams to look out for are definitely going to be Mercedes, Ferrari, and Haas, but really don't sleep on Alpine in my opinion. I'm not going to really speak about McLaren too much besides Godley as an individual. He's got tremendous pace, as I said before. I've watched him in league races before, so, and done commentary on him. So, yeah.
Alright guys, so this has been the F1CRL recap, and once again I do apologize for the audio and the capture quality. We're going to find a better way to do that. The software I'm using for it isn't very good. So anyways, besides the point, I really appreciate you guys coming out. We're going to try to do this once a week after every race. We're also going to try to get an interview once a week, so we'll try our best, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this format. Of course, if you have any suggestions or anything that you would like to see, do let me know. I'm going to try my best to get more video clips involved in here as well, so we'll see how that goes for next week. But either way, we'll see you guys tonight, and you have a good one.